Hello and welcome to the gak.co.uk Guitar Shop podcast. I am your host Mark Packham, who is with me this evening.
Hello, my name's Jay. I'm the assistant manager here in the guitar store.
Hello, and my name's Matt and I'm the manager.
No Joe Branton this evening.
Woo!
He'll be joining us again next week.
Boo.
Gentlemen, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Yeah, good.
How are you, more importantly?
I have no idea what day it is and or which time zone I'm in is the answer. For those who haven't listened for the last couple of episodes, I've just got back from NAMM, which is the big musical instrument expo in Anaheim, California. Landed on Monday.
Today is Wednesday.
Yeah, Monday night. Today's Wednesday. I have no idea what time it is. My body clock is off the chart. I don't know what's going on. So if I sound a bit sluggish this podcast, that is why. I'm sure these two are enthusiastic enough.
We're peppy. We're full of pep.
Peppy.
Oh, you know.
Full of pep. Yeah, so what have you been up to while I've been away?
Well, I don't know. What have I been up to? A lot of guitar playing. A lot of not following you.
Yeah.
I'm like a little ghost who was following you around on the all the NAMM things happening, keeping up to date with it all.
Good.
I actually did spend a lot of my time looking at.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, we tried to put up as much stuff as possible. By the time this podcast goes up, pretty much everything will be up. So I think we did like 40 videos, something like that. Loads of blog posts, loads of Twitter and that. So if you want to catch up with all the NAMM stuff, probably the best bet is go to the website or go to the YouTube channel actually, youtube.com/gagvision, GAKvision. Yeah, there's loads. But should we ever run through the stuff that I saw tonight? Have you got anything that you guys want to talk about in particular?
Well, what excited me the most, I saw.
Go on, sorry.
Well, I was just going to point out some that I really liked. I think, not just on name alone, but the orange OB1K.
OB1K.
I mean, it should win an award just for the name.
When someone pointed out that like Obi-Wan Kenobi, I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah, it didn't clock me until the second day.
It's the best name since the SE Electronics
SEX1.
SEX1. Yeah, I mean that's the best name they've come. Brilliant. Brilliant product name.
But we've already had quite a lot of inquiries, I think, about the orange OB1s. The cool thing is
it's 1,000 watt solid state,
fully solid states. There's no valve pre or anything.
Yeah. No, as far as I'm aware, no digital side of things. It's just like a old school solid state amp. But the key thing about it is that from the input signal, it splits. So it sends one straight, sends one to like a volume control and then to the output jack. To the master section, and then the second one it goes into a distortion circuit before getting to the master section, and then it's got a blend control to blend in that second.
To blend the second one in. Okay,
exactly.
It's kind of like having your dream rig of like two SVTs almost, one running really dirty and one running really clean.
Exactly. I mean, even when you crank up the clean channel, it's still pretty grindy because it's an orange bass amp. But blending that in, it really does give you like. Just like a decent overdriven sound as well, like a good, almost like a good distortion circuit, and it's also got like a color control to it as well, so it can go from like really ratty right down to kind of bassy, old school, almost like a thick, muddy distortion.
Also, I think it's worth reiterating the fact that it is 1,000 watts.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, really.
That is insanity.
The thing is, so many people, we've talked about SVT classics before. So many people are like, I want that sound, but you've got to put up with the weight and the size of it. I think this is going to just. I think they're what I don't actually know.
So they're 4U rack mount,
but they also come with the head case. Don't they?
There's two versions on offer. There's the one what they call unsleeved and sleeved. Right. So one of them will just slot directly into a 19-inch rack case. Yeah. The other one is in like a chassis, marine ply.
Is that removable? The one that's
I don't know.
Sleeved?
I would have thought so.
Yeah.
I would have thought it's just an extra. So as standard, it doesn't really look. Apart from the faceplate, it doesn't look like an orange amp because it's just a white rack-mountable box. Doesn't have the orange outside. But yeah, you can get the sleeve. I assume you'll be able to get the sleeve separately. Yes, hang on, let me just bring up a price.
I mean, my guess would be cheaper than an AD 200, but
Yeah, they're like 1,100 quid or something. Let me just see if I can get a price up here. But the key thing about them is, they're just really, really loud. Like we got the demo, which should be up online, but by the time this podcast goes up, we got the demo from Adrian, who's like the lead designer at Orange, who's like a really cool guy. He looks like you'd expect. Like he's worked for Orange. He looks like he's worked for Orange since the 70s, and he has never changed. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but
he's never changed his clothes, or.
Well, no.
I think more of his style.
He's washed them, but he's probably kept the same. So he's just got he's got these amazing sideburns. Like he's got a full beard except for in the middle.
Yeah.
So it's just like sideburns that cover the whole of his face, and then this long sort of like mod haircut, and he was wearing shades, and he just looks like super cool and exactly what you'd expect the lead designer of Orange to look like. OB1K, so the rack mount one, so without the sleeve, it's $12.99, and with the sleeve, $15.99. Right, and it is really heavy duty. It's that thick marine ply that they use, handles on the top and on the sides. So the demo we got was in this tiny little booth off the side of the Orange stand, and he showed us that, and he also showed us the Dual Dark series, which are the new guitar heads they're doing.
We're going to sell so many of those.
They sound really incredible. Popular. So in this tiny little booth, and just struggling to actually get an audio recording of it was almost impossible.
What's the output on the OB1 in terms of the outputs you've got on the back? Do you know? Is it two, like some they like 1,000 watts, but 1,000 watts bridged or something? Is it just one straight output, 1,000 watts?
I don't know. By the looks of things. Oh, okay. So it is Class D output. So it's like a digital power amp, solid state preamp. The only spec it gives here is that it will run down to 4 ohms. So I'd imagine it's 1,000 watts, 4 ohms, maybe like 700 or 750 at 8 ohms, something like that.
That's still going to be well loud.
Yeah, definitely. And so we had it in this booth, and I just couldn't really get
what was it plugged into? An 8x10?
Yes, of course it was. But the Dual Dark sound amazing as well. So
I'm really interested in these.
So they've got. The clean channel is an original circuit for those amps. Yeah. The drive channel, or what they call the second channel, is a Dark Terror.
Right. Okay.
Which also I found out is very, very similar in construction to the OR15s. Yeah. I didn't realise that.
Yeah, they've got that. It's coming back in a big way. That kind of real doomy, full-on drive is and the OR15s.
The OR15s are amazing. Yeah.
And I think because the Dark Terrors came first, I think, didn't they? And then the OR15s, and then the Jim Root, which is based on the Dark Terror.
After that.
Yeah. So, it's got that real high gain drive, but like a real classic sort of distortion, not like a super tight sounding thing. But it's not too fizzy. It doesn't sound anything like a Marshall or anything like that. It's kind of. It just sounds like vintage Orange. I think they're really going back to kind of like an old school.
The first channel has got a bit more of a kind of. I don't know how to describe it really, actually. Almost like Plexi-esque. Sort of like Marshall-y, but not modern Marshall. It's weird. You need to check the demo really, because I think in the demo he only uses the first channel.
Really? What? Okay, right.
Yeah, and it sounds really good. It's like heavy as you like, and the the Dark Terror with that added 50 watts or 100 watts.
So because you get the biggest head they do is is because it's got the full half power and the 4 and 2 output tube, so it does 50, 100, 30, 15. Is that right? And then the smaller one does 30. 15 and 7.
I'm just going to confirm that now, but I think that's right.
The same as the
here we go, Dual Darks.
Thunders.
The Thunder series. Yeah.
Do you know we don't have it listed, but I would assume that's the way it works.
I think it's the same sort of. I think they've taken the same sort of thing as the Thunder series. Yeah. But they look cool as well.
Yeah. Obviously they're coming in black to match the rest of the kind of Dark Terror range.
But it's in like a proper chassis as opposed to the because the Dark Terrors are just like a they look like the tiny terrorists, don't they?
Exactly.
Which is cool, but you want it in a proper chassis, really.
Yeah.
So $14.79 for the 50 watt, and $15.79 for the 100 watt.
It's about the same sort of price though as like the the Thunderverbs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, from what I can gather, they're kind of almost phasing out that stuff and bringing this new stuff in.
The thing is, at the moment, they've got a lot of amps out on the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But, you know, you go around to Orange Display and there's a lot of Thunderverb 50, Thunderverb 100, Thunder 30, Thunder 100.
Yeah. And then there's the minis, the ADs and the ORs.
And then you've got all the ADs in there and then all the ORs. It's just like...
Yeah, I think the idea behind these is to... almost replace a lot of that, and you know, these won't be out for a little while. The same, you know, usual NAMM stuff, that they won't be here straight away. So there's still time if you love the Thunder series to go and pick that sort of thing up. But really impressed by the dual darks, really, really nice. What else had you kind of seen that kind of piqued your interest? What can I give you some more info on?
I really liked, after much kind of teasing, I suppose, from Line 6, the Amplify, is that what they call it? The Amplify?
Amplify.
Yeah.
All capitalised up until the I.
Oh, yeah.
So, like an iPod, but the other way round.
They look really cool. I saw a video, so they've got 5 speakers, right? And they're a Bluetooth music player as well.
Let me give you my thoughts on the Amplify. We talked about this in the podcast, I think, that we did with Rebecca Dirks about the sort of hype that was coming around these, and how they've been building up, like Guitar Amp Reinvented. And I just thought, I've heard this all before, from not just from them, from every manufacturer. Yeah. You know, just doing like little teasers, like showing one control and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think it almost did it like an injustice, because when they actually announced it, so we were standing in a hall and they're giving this presentation about it and talking about their big thing was, you know, people almost have kind of turned away from guitars a little bit, and you know, people spend a lot more time with their phones and almost like you know, do a lot of kind of social sharing and stuff like that, and they want to bring that kind of technology into the amp. And again, to me, that sounds a bit kind of sales pitchy, but when you hear the full thing, actually you realise why they did that. So Amplify is basically a 5-speaker guitar amp. The central driver is a guitar speaker.
Yeah.
And I think they're a 10 and a 12 or an 8 and a 10, I can't remember which one. Either in a 75 watt or a 100 watt.
So they're not doing like a
75 and 150.
So they're not doing like a tiny little 15 or anything like that.
But alongside that, they've got 4 full range drivers in there. Now the reason for that is that, as well as being a guitar amp, it's a Bluetooth music player. Now that sounds kind of a bit rubbish.
It kind of sounds like, what can we do to add on to our amplifier?
And those two things separately and even combined could be really bad. The key to it is how good the app is that they've made for iOS. So you've got an app that will basically scan your entire iTunes library, but they've also said, I think, that it will work with streaming sites as well. So I think, as far as I can remember, don't quote me on this, but I think they talked about Spotify on there as well. It will scan it. You say, okay, I really want to play, I don't know, Back in Black today. You go to that song and it will go, okay, here's the guitar tone that you should be using. And then using the software, it's got an advanced version of the pod software inside there. It will instantly change to that tone. Now, you could get that and you could say, it doesn't really sound how I want it to sound. You can then go in and edit it. So you can edit it and like change, you know, add a bit more mid-range or add a delay or whatever. The key thing is that the way they're sourcing these tones, they've done some themselves, but most of them are going to be user created and user voted on. So in theory, the best tones will rise to the top.
So it's not like, because this was the thing that I was a little confused about, was originally when I sort of scanned what was going on with it, it looked like it goes through your iTunes library and goes, oh, okay, cool, so there's this song by The Offspring, and then it analyses it and it goes, oh, this is how it should sound. But it's not like that. Actually what it is it's got a database of tracks, and it goes, oh, okay, this is Pretty Fly for a White Guy by The Offspring or whatever. And it goes through and it goes, oh yeah, someone's created a tone for this song.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right, fine. And then you can, but multiple people can do it. But
upvote the best ones.
Fine. Yeah.
I think it's going to work really, really well. And if they play it right, and if they're supporting it how they say they're going to support it, it's actually pretty revolutionary for a guitar modelling side of things.
The thing that I liked was I saw a video with it being used with an iPad.
Yeah.
And it's when to control the sounds, they're not using any controls on the amp. They're doing everything on the iPad in the app, and it's just drawbars across. So you go, I want more gain, so you just drag across more gain. Oh, I want to change my amp, so you go to amp models, and there's pictures of all the amp models, and you can scroll through and change all of that. So in theory, unlike any other guitar amp, it will technically, in a way, never go out of date because you'll just update the app.
Exactly.
So
what is tones. So
what do you think this will do for something like the Kempfer? Then do you think?
I think that's a different beast.
Okay.
I think in the Kempfer, the modelling is much more advanced.
Okay.
Bear in mind, the modelling in this is still based on Pod, which is a great piece of software.
Yeah.
It's not, as far as I'm aware, it's not Pod HD. It's based on the X3 modelling,
right? Okay.
Which you'll understand when you hear that price-wise. So the smallest one I think is 315 quid.
Is that it?
And the more expensive one is 429.
That's the same price as a Pod HD.
Yes, exactly. And you get all this extra stuff.
Well, you get an amp.
Well, yeah, exactly. Let me just bring up the prices for them.
Are they replacing the Spiders?
Probably not, because they're not going to do a practice amp version. So yeah, you've got 75 and 150 watts. Price-wise, 315 and 395 quid.
Wow, that's crazy cheap.
Another thing I really like about them is aesthetically they're really good. They don't say Line 6 anywhere on them, apart from maybe around the back. So on the front it's just really nice, traditional looking, black and red, textured, almost like cloth on the front. So if you wanted to, and this is one thing that they suggest you do with it, is just have it in your living room play music through. It's full range music player. So if you want to just put your iPad on it, it's wireless Bluetooth, so you don't even need to plug it in. You can just literally hook up with your iPad or iPhone and go, okay, I want to listen to this tune, and it sounds really good for that. And then you could plug a guitar in and go, oh yeah, I really love this bit in the song. I get a sound. And then it'll do it automatically. You can either have it select the best one, or it can give you lists of sounds.
And also, I think, is there centre cancelling and everything for guitar tracks? I
believe so. Yeah, I think they showed some
of a lot of that sort of stuff that you see on other things. That are almost
exactly, and probably some sort of looping and slowing stuff down as well. I would imagine. They didn't go too much into that into the demo.
From what I saw as well in another video, is the fact that the centre speaker is your guitar speaker, which sends out a totally dry guitar sound, and then the two of the other speakers then send out stereo affected sound.
Right, okay.
So you get a much better, if you were recording a proper guitar track in a studio and you'd record it all dry, and then with delay it would either be outboard gear, or you'd be recording a stereo track, and one track would have all the effects on and one track would have all the dry. So you get a kind of same as the OB1K, you can blend in a dry and a
It was very, very impressive, and I thought it was going to be rubbish. I have to admit, I didn't expect anything from it.
The thing is, they haven't really. The Line 6 Spiders have been around for quite a while. They're one of the last companies to actually, Line 6, in terms of doing a new amp, I would say.
Yeah, they've not. Apart from DTs, which are a completely different thing.
And if they're doing that now, and the fact that they're now part of Yamaha, who's to say what's going to come out?
Definitely
in a year, couple of years time.
Definitely. I was actually really impressed. I'm kind of considering getting one of the 75s, just because I think it would be so cool to have around the house.
I think if it doesn't look like a guitar amp in a traditional sense, or a similar sort of practice amp, then it'd be nice for. I suppose that's what they're going for as well.
Something you can have in your living room that won't be like, oh god, it's in the way.
Exactly. Exactly. I just think it's a great little product.
As long as the databases, which generally they do stay pretty well updated, I think one of those. And
even if they're not, you could get a sound that sounds similar. So say you wanted a Bad Religion guitar tone. And you're like, okay, well, what sounds similar to that? Okay, maybe early Offspring, something like that, because they're in a similar. You could go in there and go, right. So I've grabbed Noodles' sound from an early album. Okay, that sounds a bit like the sound that I want, but I just want to add a bit more top end. I'll add a bit more top end. Okay, I'll save this as Bad Religion, I Want to Conquer the World.
And then someone else.
And then you'll save that to that patch, and then that goes up to the database, and then now there is a guitar sound for I Want to Conquer the World by Bad Religion.
Can you plug your guitar straight in without having an iOS device attached?
I don't know.
That was the only thing I didn't see, and I wasn't sure, because obviously I'm assuming it's probably not Android supported, is it?
I don't know. I don't know. I've only seen it with iOS stuff. I don't know whether it will work without yet. They didn't show that. It's got controls on the front, so it might do. It might do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why you would buy it if you wanted to do that.
I think that's obviously one of the things is that you probably wouldn't buy it if you didn't have some sort of device to control it with. I just wondered if it went down.
Yeah, I didn't get a good look at the controls on the top. I can't remember whether there's a preset thing on there or not, but use an iPad with it. It just opened, or an iPhone. It opens up so much, you know. Anything else that you saw that you wanted to chat about?
I think we should discuss Fender.
Okay.
And the Deluxe Plus, which is the Strat with the personality cards. Did you get a chance to see that?
I did. Do you know what? We tried to get a video of it, and I was having some camera issues, so we didn't manage to grab one.
Yeah.
I think it is, again, much more impressive than I had imagined.
Because I saw it and thought, when I first heard about it, which was about a month or so ago, before it was kind of like embargo, before it kind of hits NAMM, and here's all the dealers that these are coming out, do you want to order any? And I was like, personality, and obviously there was no videos, no one explained. They just went, they come with these cards that you slot in the back, and it's got a rechargeable lithium-ion battery that's the back plate or whatever. And
it doesn't sound good.
Well, and they're quick connect pickups.
Yes.
Right. So like the
pickups,
like the Dan Armstrong.
No, you can take the scratch plate off, and all the pickups are like if you take a Gibson off now, they're plug and play.
Oh, okay.
They're chocolate blocks that snap into one another. So Fender are going to start selling pickups that have the same connectors, so you can, in theory, you won't need to solder anything. You just unplug a pickup and
plug something else in.
Okay.
So what the personality cards essentially are a quick plug and play way to add things in or take things out of the circuit.
Yeah.
So they have got, I assume, various capacitors and bits on there that when you slot that in, that then comes into the circuit.
Well, I think it's digital, but I'm not 100% because I saw one and it changed your tone control to like a master tone, master volume, and then gave you like a mid boost.
Okay.
But without, I don't know. It just looks like it slots into like a.
Yeah, we didn't really get enough time to ask in-depth questions.
I haven't really seen a lot more about it. They kind of didn't go make a huge thing of it, but that's one of them.
Yeah, I mean they were on the same stand as the 60th anniversary stuff, which actually I think is really interesting. Fender are kind of offering these 60th anniversary models across a range of price points.
We've had some. We've got the 60th anniversary 54 classic player or 50 classic player.
That's the only one we've got. It's the only one we've got left.
Shoreline Gold,
other two are
or
sold.
Aztec Gold.
It's anodized gold plate, but it's like in a desert sandy.
Yeah.
So the deal with those is they're offering 3 models. The American Vintage 1954, which is kind of you know what American Vintage normally do.
Yeah.
They're as close as you can get without being a custom shop.
Yeah.
But on this one, they've gone really period specific. So 54 Strats have got different knobs on them, what they call wide skirt. So they look like little chubby normal volume knobs. I don't think they're quite as high, and they look like they've kind of been squashed out a little bit. They've got those on there, and also a round selector switch instead of like the point. And they come with all the exactly all the case stuff they would have done in 54. So they look cool, and they do the commemorative Strat, which is an American standard, but with 1954 neck plate and gold hardware, and just kind of like, if you want to get involved in this and you want an American standard, here's one of these. Yeah. And then the classic player, which is the 50 Strat, like you say, in desert sand with the anodized gold plate. They're also doing a Squire as well, classic vibe 60th anniversary 50 Strat. Which is your kind of cheapest way to get involved in the 60th celebrations. They all look really good. I'm usually a bit wary of the American Vintage because you normally think, just spend a bit more and get a custom shop. But actually this time I think they've done it right. Like, they seem to play a bit better. All the stuff is correct. If you're really into Fender and you want to celebrate the anniversary, that's kind of the one to get, I think.
And on a note, we've got one of the custom shop 54 anniversaries on the way as well.
Well, that was my next point, is that there is a custom shop model as well, which is kind of like every year they announce at NAMM like stock custom shop models.
Yeah.
So ones that they're going to make, in a relatively large amount, not just like stuff that you just order one off.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got the 1954 relic coming, and also I finally saw the Nile Rodgers Hitmaker, which we've talked about for ages.
He's finally happy with it, I think.
Yeah. So when we were talking to Jake from the custom shop, who's like the head of custom shop for England, I guess.
For the whole GBI, I think.
Oh, okay. He just said, yeah, basically they've been working with Nile Rodgers for a long time and keep like doing in prototypes and stuff. And he's like, no, it's not as good as mine. It's not as good as my one. It has to be as good as my one. Otherwise, I'm just not going to bother. For those who don't know, the Hitmaker is Nile Rodgers' guitar that he reckons played on $2 billion worth of music. Yeah. So it can be heard on like Get Lucky by Daft Punk is the most recent one, and like loads of stuff where there's any sort of disco or clean guitar, pretty much. He's the man. And yeah, they finally made one that he's happy with, and it looks incredible. It's just like a Olympic white strap worn down with these weird like see-through like speed knobs on there.
Silver plate. It's like a mirrored plate.
Yeah, mirrored plate. It just looks proper. Like I've seen pictures of the actual one, and it looks like the actual one.
Did you see the Yuri Shishkov?
The crystal.
The crazy like one. I think Damon from Fender was telling me it was $600,000 US. The one that's got like 560 diamonds.
The crystal
in it.
Telecaster.
I did see it. I got a picture of it on my phone. It yeah, I mean it's pretty bling.
No, not the crystal telly. There's another one that because I think Paul Waller or someone did the crystal one, which has got like it's all inlaid crystals. Yuri Shishkov did one that's got like 568 diamonds in it.
That's the one ridiculous. I think that I've seen.
Right, it's like it's a Strat and it's got this amazing.
Oh no!
Like,
I've seen the telly.
There was a Strat as well, like a crazy Strat.
That I don't think that was on display. The diamond telly is ridiculous.
The cool thing is they're for sale.
Yeah,
that's the amazing. You're going to say the double neck carved top telly.
I didn't see it. To be honest, I was blinded by that stand. Like, there was so much good stuff. They had the colour wall that they do every year, which is when they produce like limited edition colours that always traditionally fill up the same wall. This year, it was they're doing 60s team built Strats with a AAA flame maple neck, which normally only available in master built, and colour over colour. So I think we've got Olympic white over 3-colour sunburst coming. Team built with a flame maple board. It's just going to be amazing. They also had a range on the other wall of L series Strats. So the story behind this is custom shop Strats have always had R serial numbers for reissue. These have L serial numbers as they would have been back in the day.
Really? Right. Okay. Right.
There's like such a small number of them. They had I think about 12 on display at the show. They're going to be so collectible. Like if you're even considering buying a custom shop this year, just get an L series one if you can, because it's going to be the only time they do it. The other guitar that they had there, and I'm not sure who the master builder was, but it was a $50,000 Strat. That was spec'd up for, I want to say like a film, or like to be in the background of a film or something, that was just there on display, and it's just like a beaten up Strat with stickers on it. I was like, oh, this one's cool. How much is that? $50,000.
But what about the tellies? Come on, let's talk about the tellies, Mark.
So I sent you a picture from the show of what they're calling a TV Jones telly, which is a top-bound telly they only do metallic finishes. They're doing metallic gold
sparkle.
Sorry, yeah, metallic gold sparkle.
I think this is you're missing the vital word there in terms of piquing Matt's interest.
Ocean turquoise sparkle,
surf green sparkle, blue sparkle, silver sparkle, red sparkle, and gold sparkle, and a Lake Placid blue.
2 TV Jones humbuckers, 2 TV Jones pickups, and most importantly, Bigsby.
They're doing a Bigsby and a non-Bigsby, but the amazing thing is, they're ebony fretboards.
Yeah, so like
that's insanity. When you told me that today, I was
ebony fretboards and a weird Okami body, Which it looks like, because from what very limited pictures what I've seen, they almost look how a gold top looks. So like a light mahogany back almost, but with a sparkled top finish, because they're not like sparkled all the way around, are they? They're only sparkled on the top and the headstock.
Matching headstock. So what's the when was the last time Fender did an ebony fingerboard guitar? I can't think of anything.
I've never seen one. I'm sure people have spec'd it at some point. In fact, I don't even know if it's on the spec sheet.
I don't think it is. I mean, maybe you can do master built. Maybe I don't.
Yeah, not sure. But so your plan is to buy one of these?
I bought one. Yeah, I've ordered one.
Have you? Yeah. Did it go through?
Yeah.
Amazing.
They're built to order, so 6 months' time I'll be rocking a nice blue sparkle. But the thing is, the reason the thing is whether they'll do another Cabronita, and that's the closest you'll get.
Yeah, I mean it's
basically a Cabronita.
That's what Jake was saying, is they've taken inspiration from the Cabronitas for these.
But what I did find out the other day on a non-NAMM related thing is that we've got that no-caster fat telly on the wall that I spec'd up.
Yeah.
They were so impressed when they came to do it. They've put like a nationwide run on them.
Really?
So they've ordered loads that all like similar specs and similar colours with the same pickup configuration in.
Wow.
So I was like,
you're leading the way, trailblazer.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys want to know about in particular that you've seen? If not, I can talk through some of my highlights and we can discuss that.
The only other thing that I wanted that we'll touch on briefly, I know you didn't get a chance to see, was the Fishman pickups, which I'm just really excited to see.
Yeah,
I saw some videos and
we tried to get there. When we got there, I think Greg Koch was doing like a demo, and we just couldn't get anywhere near the stand.
Because I'm sure we'll talk about it in more details when they come out. But what I really want to see is that they're not. It's not a magnet with coil windings. It's printed layered circuit boards, and the circuit boards are pre-printed, and then they stack them in different ways to then create different pickups around the magnet. I think it's the first time that I think a product's come out that's actually changed something that's, in a sense, reinvented the wheel, as it were. They've actually reinvented how pickups are designed, which is pretty mental. It's not magnets and winding.
There seemed to be a lot of that this year. Like we spent quite a lot of time on the Taylor stand.
That was what I was about to bring up actually, was just like one of the things that really has impressed me is like with stuff like the Fishman stuff, and then you've got the Line 6 side of things, and then the Taylor stuff, the attention to detail that's gone into, it's like, okay, cool, so these are the things that people are into. Let's just do them really, really well. And the 800 series, I guess I watched the video and it looked great.
Yeah, so we spoke to Andy Powers, who is the I guess like head designer, I think he calls him. He actually refers to himself as the philosophical guru.
Right. But I thought that was like a title Luke made up for him.
No, he asked us to call him that on the video. Yeah, he was an amazing guy. Like,
yeah,
really
he seemed
top
super
dude.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically, what they've done is taken their 800 series, which is already pretty popular, and the current 800 series has kind of common aspects in terms of bracing and the kind of woods and finish they use across all the models in the 800 series. They've given Andy Powers, or Bob Taylor's given Andy Powers free reign with the 800 series to go.
Him the power.
He's given him Andy Powers. He gave him I can't not say it now. He gave him the power to basically take each of the models and go, okay, right, so from this shape, what do you want from this style of shape of guitar? Okay, right, how are we going to get this? What sort of bracing does it need to have? How thick does the wood need to be? What sort of finish should we use? Are we going to use hide glue on this? It turns out they're actually using hide glue across the range now. 6 different types of hide glue in each different guitar.
6 different types of hide.
Yeah. And the guitars are phenomenal. They're so good. I've never picked up a guitar and instantly gone like, this is so like vibey. Like the whole thing is resonating together. So bright, big, like loads of bass. I mean, everything you expect from a Taylor guitar, like, and more.
So basically, Bob Taylor has just gone, okay, you know about this stuff, you know about modern technology, take these guitars and make them better. I mean, that's a pretty big ask, isn't it? And he's by all accounts, he's done it.
Well, he's been working with another guy we met, Dave Hostler, who is the pickup designer for Taylor, and on all of this new 800 series and a few of the other series, they put this Expression 2 system, which basically it's not a piezo pickup, because the way the piezo pickup works is it assumes that the pressure on a string when a string moves is going up and down at the bridge, and he talked us through, and go and watch this video, it'll be up by the time the podcast goes out on our YouTube channel. He talks about how they analysed, like, frame by frame, using lasers, how a string moves over a bridge pickup,
right,
or an undersaddle pickup, and instead of the string like going up and down like you'd imagine, what it actually does is go back and forth at the point it goes across the bridge.
Right.
So what they've created is Expression 2, which is a pickup that basically picks up that movement, the back and forth, using levers that sit underneath the bridge. It sounds mental, and he showed us one. I still really can't get my head around it, but he said, if from now on every acoustic pickup should be made in this way. It's probably more expensive to do it like this, and I think they've kind of swallowed some of the cost of like the R&D that everyone's essentially going to follow.
Right, yeah.
But again, we didn't have a chance to plug one in, so I can't verify any of this, but from what he was saying is that that's just how acoustic pickups are going to be made from now on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because of their innovation.
Exactly. And what Taylor do, I didn't know this, whenever Taylor invents something, all the design documents that go with it from the start of the process to the end are available via PDF on their website. So
wow.
So they don't even like patent it then?
They patent it, yeah, but they'll give you all the information's there. Yeah, crazy. And you know you can go there and find out about all the bracing on these new models, the thicknesses of the woods. It's just like a massive library of like, these are why our guitars are so good. Yeah, the Taylor stand was one of my highlights really. Talking to those two guys and just learning how much goes into each of these guitars is just bonkers. And it seems like price point and like what it's going to cost them doesn't really factor into it. And maybe that's just because I was speaking to the two like product guys, like the dreamers.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were just like, we just make these guitars as best as they can be. And it seems, you know, that not once did they ever mention like we had to work to this budget or like we did this for price constraints. It was just like, yeah, these guitars are awesome.
I mean, I suppose the thing with Taylor as well is they've only been a company for what, 40 years?
Something like that, yeah.
40 years. So they're like still relatively new, but they're like a superpower in the kind of acoustic world really now, aren't they?
Well, definitely. And you consider the companies that they're up against that have got, you know, 150 years of innovation.
Martin, 150 years, and like, you know, I spoke to someone today who's got like, he got a Martin, he was saying he got a Martin from like 1941 or something like that. He was like, yeah, it's great.
I'm sure those guitars sound great, and they sound great in a different way to Taylor guitars sound great. You know, they'll be bassy, they'll be thick sounding. Taylor guitars just aren't like that. They're like hi-fi and precise, but in a way that just sounds so
it's
pleasing.
Just so pristine. Taylor's just got that's such a nice, like you say, hi-fi sound to it.
And it all comes back to this design philosophy of like, let's just try and make it the best we can. And that's why those guitars sound like that. You know, they don't have like the quirks and bugs that give it that other kind of character, but they've really gone down and got their own sound.
What did you see? Because actually, one company which Joe was raving on about when we were doing like Gear of the Year, and that was Ibanez.
Yeah. So
because they've announced the Toshin Abassi.
Do you reckon they listen?
I reckon they listen. And when Joe Brannon, he really has all the best ideas.
So
let's copy him. So yeah, they've done a cheaper version. Which is amazing.
I tell you what, Ibanez, yeah. We were talking about this earlier today. Me, Mark, Joe, and Matt have got like. I mean, we've got various methods of group communication going on, but we've always got like a group text and we've always got like a group email going on. We were talking the other week via email about the new Ibanez catalogue and how much cool stuff there is.
Yeah.
We briefly touched on it with Rebecca Dirks last week.
Yeah.
Just how much cool stuff there is coming out. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was going to say. That's what I was going to go on and say. They seem, you know, how. When we were doing the Gear of the Year and we were saying Fender and Gibson, they've done
absolutely
it, and where we were going, and you know, other companies have been left. I think Ibanez are going to be. I know that they've always got tons in their catalogue, but I was talking to Joss, who works here, and he's really, really into like Ibanez and stuff. And we were talking about all the new Iron Label stuff and how cool some of these guitars that are coming with. They're not just sticking a Floyd on everything. They're not sticking high-powered pickups and everything.
Yeah.
I showed you that one. I can't remember what it is now, but the one that's like an offset with a humbucker in the bridge and a telly in the neck position.
Oh yeah, I saw those.
They're 369 quid. It's one of the best guitars I've played.
It looks great.
Amazing.
It looks great.
So in addition to all of that, and by the way, I do think you're right. I think last year was the year of Fender and Gibson. Like both those companies just smashed it.
Yeah.
I think this year it could be the other way around. Those two are going to have a bit of, unless they release something ridiculous like Squire Bass 6 that we haven't seen, that we can't foresee. I think a lot of other companies are going to have a really good year. I think Ibanez also spent a lot of time with ESP. They've got some incredible new models coming out. Worth talking about ESP because they've changed their line up. We'll do that in a second. Ibanez have got a real chance of doing some really cool stuff this year. So as well as the production stuff in the catalogue they've announced, they also do some spot production guitars. So guitars that they show at NAMM, and if enough dealers want to order them, they will make them.
That's cool.
Some of those included 25th anniversary Fireman. So to celebrate Paul Gilbert,
the flame top one, I think,
looks so good, so good.
Yeah.
To celebrate 25 years of
flame top Fireman.
But it's HSH.
I just think it's really funny that the guitar is a Fireman and it's flame maple.
Yeah, like really thick bit of flame maple.
Yeah.
And then zebra humbuckers in the bridge and neck, and then a single coil in the middle.
The first time I saw it, I thought it was 3 singles, and I looked at the picture again and realised it was humbucker, single humbucker. I didn't see the.
That was super cool. They're just loads of like.
I'm really into this Noodles guitar, man.
The new Noodles guitar.
I mean, I feel like I've sort of regressed like 15 years. I'm really excited about the Offspring.
It's amazing that they're still making him a signature. I mean, that obviously proves how popular.
Well, he must still sell enough guitars to make it work.
I didn't know there was still a Noodle signature.
NDM2 is still.
Is that the one with not the one with the gaffer tape?
No, there's been one since that, just black, and it's got like a little mirrored Offspring sign.
Is it one that we've had?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we've had them in stock. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But
the new one looks great.
New one, vintage, like off creamy blonde with 2P90s.
Looks wicked.
Perfect for cruising California.
But yeah, and obviously we were talking about the Jay's favourite, the Ibanez with the Chaos Pad.
Yes,
that may one day surface.
So I'm not sure how this is going to pan out. Whether this is going to come to the UK or not. They were showing two sort of like more like budget end Ibanez with room for a Korg mini KP.
So good.
So basically, it just slots right in, and then the guitar is instantly wired through the Chaos Pad. It was bizarre. There was just kids on them the whole time we were there, like trying to get a look at it or even a photo was impossible because kids were just there, just like jamming on it, like this is the best thing I've ever seen. It was.
I mean,
pretty
I'm not
crazy.
surprised because I mean, look at how much influence like Matt Bellamy has on all that sort of thing, and so many people. I spent 20 minutes on the phone with a guy a week or so ago who was like, I really want to do a MIDI pad thing, what's the best way to make it work? And I was like, well, if you actually want to install one, it's really expensive, and you could just buy a Chaos Pad and put it on a desktop, but not the same thing. Or in theory, what you could do is get a Chaos Pad Mini and Velcro it to your guitar, and then lo and behold, about 2 days later, I saw that just routed out of space for it.
Yeah, so they were bonkers. But yeah, so there's a bit of a weird one to talk about at the moment because alongside the production stuff that probably a lot of people already know about, there is all this other stuff that may or may not ever get made. We'll see. We'll see what stuff makes it over here and what stuff actually makes it into the catalogue and things like that. But what we'll say, again, I think Ibanez are going to have a good year. ESP definitely going to have a good year. Big shake up there. So ESP always used to be the branding for any Japanese stuff. Up until last year when they released some LTD Elites, which are then they were Japanese made rather than Korean made. Now, and I'm going to try and get this right, ESP Custom are going to do the stuff that's non catalogue. So the weird stuff like angels carved out of wood and like all the weird.
One. There was one there.
They had a whole wall of them, like different angels carved, and one like you would. I don't even know how you'd play it. So they're going to do that. That's as branded as ESP Custom.
But they're not just doing that. They're also doing like the really high end.
So ESP Custom are going to do the weird stuff, and the one, you literally phone them up and go, yeah, I want an angel sitting on top of a thing doing a thing, and that's a guitar. ESP are going to do custom factory build catalogue stuff. So you're getting an Eclipse or Horizon or the other shapes they do built to the same quality as those one-off guitars.
Right, okay.
E2
is the other,
are what used to be the Japanese standard stuff.
Right.
So now branded as E2 on the headstock, they've basically taken over from the LTD Elites. So they're offering all the normal models, Eclipse and Horizon and all the other bits and pieces, plus these new guitars that they're calling ST1s, which kind of look like slab body flame maple Strats. They were the thing that impressed me the most. There's only, in the best colour, there's only 2 coming into the UK, and we've got one of them. The other colours were okay, but it's desert. It's like a desert burst.
Right. Okay.
It kind of looks like it's got 2 humbuckers and a single in the middle, as far as I can remember, and a Floyd, and it just looks like an amazingly built guitar. And they're coming at the sort of price that the old Japanese standard stuff used to come in at. And then down from there, LTD are doing their normal thing. I think ESP are going to have a bit of a kind of rebirth this year. Like, changing everything around has made things, although I'm making it sound confusing, has made it actually a lot clearer as to what you're getting.
I think just companies, I think after a while you just need to do that. You need to kind of, I mean, it's the same as what Boss are doing. No one really knows what it is yet. I mean, with the guys from Road and Marine today, and I was trying to coax out of them the new Aria series. Ira, that's it. All this new DJ gear that's. No one really knows what it is, but everyone who's managed to try one have gone, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And the OD1X and the DS1X, which we can now talk about.
We never talked about it. Let's do that quickly before we forget. So, on the podcast when we had Jamie in, we couldn't talk about any of this stuff.
Well, we did. We talked about it all, and it was really interesting.
We said loads about it. We talked about it so much, and then I had to cut it all out because we sort of went,
rules.
They've said we can't say anything apart from the name. Yeah, we talked about it for like an hour.
You know what? This is a sort of, if ever we fancy a week off, you just release that one.
Oh yeah,
we just do the director's edit.
Yes, put it back up.
Yeah.
What I found out though was the week before we did the podcast with Jamie, and he was like, "Yeah, they're coming out." I was like, "Can you not just give me the name?" Turned out I'd actually guessed the name.
Yeah.
And then Jamie was like, what? And then I just wasn't panicking. I was just reading off names and just dreaming still about the BD1. And then it turned out I actually guessed it.
Yeah, you'd said to him when we saw him, I don't know, is it something like, I don't know, OD1X? And he just went, no.
And I just went, no, okay, just carried on. But yeah, but amazing.
We're quite impressed by them, aren't we? I think it's
I'm just amazed that they kind of. I mean, they're really clear to state the point. It's not a reissue.
Yeah.
It's a reimagining of that sort of.
I'm so glad that they aren't reissues, because I think the DS1X is better than an original DS1.
And really?
Yeah, I really like the DS1X.
Having had an original OD1, I think the OD1X is better as well.
Really?
Well, I mean, they're not the same. If you put them side by side, you wouldn't get one in to replace your probably DS1, because to be honest, if you wanted to replace your original DS1, you'd probably just buy another DS1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because they pretty much haven't changed the circuit in 25 years. But it's the fact that this MDP technology kind of, because what we found is just turning up the gain doesn't just.
It doesn't turn up.
It just doesn't give you more gain. It kind of. tonally shapes the way your signal works, and the OD one just worked as an incredible, almost like EQ pedal, just in the sense that you can kind of, no matter, the great thing was, no matter where you set it, it didn't sound bad.
No, I really like the DS1. I think it sounds like a really good recorded guitar sound.
Yeah.
I mean, it is quite heavily like produced. It's not a raw sounding pedal in any way, but I'm not really into that. If I'm recording guitar, I just I'll plug that into my amp, and I think it will just work.
But I think if that's the way they're doing that, and they're going kind of like this a not a reissue, but here's some cool stuff that the wicked pedal we made 40 years ago, let's put this new technology in it, then what this new DJ stuff's going to be is, because I've heard that it's like some sort of 808 kind of reimagining or something like that.
Well,
I know, but no one really knows.
No, this is the thing. Even I don't know, and I've got to talk about them properly. It's soon. We will be launching this stuff soon, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's what's. It's kind of nice, because I think that there's going to be more pedals, and these pedals are, I think they're going to be interesting. The TE2, like from playing the ME80, and just I kind of plugged in the TE2 and went, this is cool, and I messed around with it a bit and went, it keeps doing the same thing. And then when I got the ME80, I realised actually there's so much more you can do with it when you combine it with other effects. When you use it in a more subtle way, where you combine with other delays and everything, it works out really, really well.
While we're on the subject of pedals, because we talked about guitars and amps a fair bit, and to be honest, there wasn't that much new amp-wise. Really,
the only thing I saw from like Marshall was the Tattoo series.
So
they're custom.
Yeah, so they're JVM head and cabs, but then they're Marshall custom shop built, so built in England, and like they almost look like graffitied by like well-known tattoo artists.
That's the thing. That's the thing that I think is quite cool about this stuff, about the graffiti stuff. The tattoo stuff. Isn't it? It's called the Tattoo series.
Yeah, that's right.
It's actually being unveiled at the Brighton Tattoo Convention.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. One of the, because I think is it 4 artists?
Yeah, 4 artists.
But one of them is a guy called Phil Kyle, who runs Magnum Opus tattoos on Upper North Street in
just around the corner from here.
Yeah, which is just 5-minute walk away.
The design's
really nice
amazing,
dude.
and a couple of people we know have had a lot of tattoos done by him, and he's proper amazing.
I mean, he's great.
So.
He's great. I went to a gig with him the other week, and we were talking about it, and he's like, "Yeah, this is amazing. Like, it combines the 2 things that I love, which is Marshall amps and tattoos."
That's got to be a dream gig for him. Like.
Yeah, I mean, it literally is. It's incredible. Like, some of his stuff, Phil does really like dark, intricate, like loads of skulls and like snakes.
Do you know which one of the tattoo series is by him?
Loads of skulls.
It's the one that a lot of the designs are really like black and grey shade.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Like much darker ones.
Yeah.
More of
the one I really like is the tiger. I think
there's all kind of like traditional stuff. Yeah, I don't know who's done that, but yeah, I think all the artists are going to be there at the Brighton Tattoo Convention.
Yeah, I'm really into it. I'm really into the idea of. I've been meaning to go down there for the last few years. I think I could go down and just watch the unveiling.
It's really annoying, because I just said I'd cover on the Sunday, and then I realised I really wanted to go. So that's annoying.
There we go. Yeah, that was pretty much all Marshall had there, actually. So I mean, amp-wise, it was pretty slim. Trying to think. Oh, there's some new Fender Rumble bass amps.
Oh yeah, Joe
said that we had to mention this.
I was kind of into not mentioning.
Well, we can wait, and he can talk about it a lot.
Just to say, they're really impressive. And
they look cool.
I think if someone's looking for a new bass amp, either for home or they're kind of getting up to like small gig sizes, and I think they actually do a 500 watt head. They sound really good. They're super clean. They're kind of they've taken influences from the Super Bassman, and the styling.
I love the Super Bassman.
Yeah, it's styling from that as well. So silver grill cloth, white radio knobs on there. Just proper. They're finally doing the Rumble series properly. They're not just black boxes again. They look really nice. But yeah, apart from that and the orange and the Marshall stuff, we saw the PV Valve King 2, but they've already landed.
I mean, I'll probably talk about it maybe when we do some staff picks. But the new Micro Valve King is one of the most impressive amps I've ever played through.
That was also one of the highlights of the show, but we kind of didn't do too much coverage on it because they're already out.
Yeah.
It's not really a NAMM product. They just happen to have it
I'll
there.
have to do a video on it because I need to tell everyone about that amp.
Yeah, Valve King 220, is that right? 20 watt heads?
Yeah.
I mean, I can give you the specs. I mean, 20 watts, super good clean sound, amazing drive sound with a gain boost, headphone out.
Yeah.
So you don't have to plug into speaker, you can just go out into headphones.
Yeah.
Direct USB recording.
And it's got a emulated line out as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, emulated line out, and it's got like there's on some people you've got the Class A, B, but it's a kind of a redesign of that, which sounds much better.
Yeah,
it's got reverb on it.
It's really it's cool.
$399, and
it's like it's another like it. I say it's cool. It's actually not cool because what it's going to do is instead of me having to be like, oh, I don't know whether I prefer a Blues Junior or an AC15 today. There's a third variable in the mix, which makes my life difficult. But actually, it's actually really cool.
The Valve King, the 100 had a really good drive sound and an average clean sound, but the amp overall is just awesome on that.
Yeah, I'm really into those in a big way. I think we should maybe do a proper video demo of that in the near future. Just quickly to say, before we move on to pedals, which I think will be good, we met some guitar celebrities. We didn't meet Billy Sheehan.
No, I don't care about. Well, that's not true.
Oh, okay.
I've sort of lent in because Mark sent me a picture. The only thing, I mean, from there was all this thing on a sort of work point of view that I was really interested in. But the only thing on a personal level that I really wanted was Mark to meet Doyle from the Misfits because he was there. And I think it was on Saturday, I got a notification on Facebook from Mark tagging me in a photo that he'd taken of Doyle from the Misfits, and he's so big. He's huge.
He was there. I forget what he was promoting now. Some strings, maybe. I know he has his own guitar, but when he was there doing a kind of more obscure string brand,
right?
And he's just the biggest man I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's huge.
The funny thing is, I saw an interview with him somewhere, and he has his own guitar. Like, he has a signature guitar made by a company, but he doesn't like the way the company makes them, so he makes his own. So he plays his own ones that he makes in his dad's metal shop.
Yeah.
But then another company make the signature ones.
They sort of look like an axe, don't they?
Yeah.
Or like
he's just really funny. Like, if you've got Instagram, Doyle from the Misfits is well worth following because all he does is put up selfies.
With him and his full Misfits makeup.
Because he's always wearing it. But, I saw a picture of him, he put up a selfie. He took a selfie of him and Kerry King at NAMM. It's that's ridiculous. Also, just think about that logistically. We've met Kerry King and he's pretty short.
He's 4 foot.
And you've got Doyle, who's huge. Logistically, it just
how would you actually get that in the same picture?
I think Doyle was just really low down.
Bending down.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, I didn't get to talk to Doyle, but we did happen to run into Ben Weinman from Dillinger Escape Plan. His new signature model, again, talk about a good year for ESP.
I sort of want one.
Yeah. It's from the X-Tone range, which for me traditionally haven't been that great. They're just, for me, I can see why some people buy them. They're a kind of more obscure, sort of semi-hollow. A lot of jazzers buy them. A lot of jazz guys seem to be really into them. For me, it doesn't really work. It's just not my thing.
Yeah. The
new Ben Weinman is one of those, offset hollow body with EMGs, and also the Evertune bridge. Now, Matt, I don't know if you know much about the Evertune bridge.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know what it's going to be in terms of product that we can get for retrofitting, but obviously we're going to get them on the ESP. It uses some sort of magic that makes the guitar never go out of tune. It's crazy. I watched a video of a guy literally swinging the guitar by the strings and then just played an E and it was still perfectly in tune. There's some sort of weird tension thing under each saddle, isn't there?
There's levers under each string. Ben Weinman described it as having a little mouse helper living inside your guitar that keeps your guitar in tune the whole time.
Basically, you can never put it out of tune, I think, unless you move the machine heads, you can never put the guitar out.
Exactly.
So what, you can have it tuned to, for example, you could have it tuned to E and then go, oh yeah, this next song is in drop C, tune it down to drop C and it'll be fine. No,
you have to, there's a setup process which apparently is really easy, but you set the guitar in, say, C standard, or drop C, you set it up, you lock it in that setup,
Yeah.
and then that's it. It will never ever shift from that tuning ever. It will literally stay in that until you change the strings.
So for you and RJ, E to E, and we never have to think about it again.
It sounds brilliant.
I've seen videos of people like literally like harder than you, Jake. I mean, I know that when you play, we can sometimes hear the strings over the amp, like louder than that, and then like swinging it by the strings, and they just don't get a tune. But I suppose if you're into that real kind of technical.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the big thing
well.
with Dillinger Escape Plan is that they are very, very like it would be. You know, for you and me, Mark, it wouldn't. I mean, if the guitar goes out of tune halfway through the song, I mean,
it's normally out of tune when you start.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But for a band like them, where it's all about the harmonics and all about the intricacies, it would be an absolute disaster if the guitar was out of tune.
The only thing that I don't think it will work particularly well for is bending, because at a certain point it kind of locks the strings in tune, so it's difficult to pull to do a bend on it. I think there is a system that kind of like bypasses it when you do a bend. But I think for someone like Dillinger, who their music, it's not like blues rock, is it? Do you know what I mean? They're doing like really accurate non-bent notes, perfect for that sort of thing.
Although there are rumours there is a Floyd version coming out apparently. So
really?
Hopefully ESP will do something with that as well.
Well, I think they're going to stick with the Evertunes, but it's really, really interesting guitar. The other person we met, and who I think this might actually be my highlight of the weekend, we met Andy Timmons, who is not a guitarist who I know a lot about, really. Like, I remember when he first had his signature models, he was always, in the Ibanez ads, he was like, Andy Timmons, independent guitarist / Kylie Minogue. And at the time I was like, that's a bit weird. But he's like a prominent session guitarist. Probably the nicest guy I've ever met. He was,
dude, we're right here.
Well, he's a bit better than you. He was so cool.
Kylie
Minogue.
When did you meet Kylie Minogue?
Yeah. Okay,
exactly. So cool, and he was just talking about the process of like being an Ibanez artist and how he's been working with them for a while. He said that he first got hooked up with them in '94 when they built him a guitar. Then they wanted him to do a signature, and he said it took them 5 years to get it right, because he said, I want the guitar that you put out with my name on it to be as good as the one that I play. And he obviously had one built in the custom shop. And he said, I need you to make one as good as the one you built me in the custom shop at a price point that is vaguely affordable and you can build in the regular Japanese factory. And that took 5 years for them to be able to do that, which is the AT100, I think, is the more expensive one. They've just recently released the AT10P. Basically, from the point that they built the one in '99 for him, they said, we want to release a budget one, and he went, yeah, you can release a budget one when you can make it as good as the one that you built now. And they went, and they released it this year. I think it was end of last year, 2013.
So it took 14 years.
Basically, yeah. And he said in that time he kind of went out of contract, and he also said he really loves Fender and he loves playing Gretsch, and he's got all these other guitars. And in the time he was out of contract, he was like, maybe I'll get something else, and he wasn't really obligated to any brand. And Ibanez sort of came back to him and said, what do you think about doing another one? And he went, well, I've got all these other guitars, but live I only play the signature model, even though I don't have to, because it just does everything that I want it to do. 2 rails pickups in the neck and middle, so they're humbuckers, but they sound like single coils. And then his own signature Ibanez pickup in the bridge.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that is exactly the same on the AT10, which is the budget one.
Same pickups?
Exactly the same pickups.
Wow.
The only thing that's different is it's a cheaper bridge and cheaper tuners.
Right.
Same neck and same body on the cheaper one. And he's like, I've just started playing these now, because the ones that he's got, his own ones, he's like retired, because he's been playing them for so long. He's like, I've got all these memories with this guitar, but that way. And yeah, he just plays the cheap ones.
Amazing.
Cool.
And it was amazing to meet him, just like top dude, and talked us through that whole process. And Ibanez, again, just they sound like a wicked company to work with. Just seem really open for their artists and stuff. we started talking about some pedals and we got sidetracked.
Yeah.
What did you see at the show that you want to know about?
Let's talk about the Tech 21 Flyrig 5.
Okay.
Did you see much of that? I know there was a little picture on your phone.
Yeah, so basically the Tech 21 stand that we went to was absolutely rammed. So we didn't manage to get a demo, but they've got two, as far as I'm aware, they've got two new products. One that is called, it's like a plexi, just preamp sort of thing, and then also the Flyrig, which we saw it and we were like, that's got to be a controller. Like it can't be a pedal. It must just be like a controller that you plug your other pedals into. Turns out it's actually a multi-effects. It's 3 Tech 21 pedals built into something that is tiny, like so small. It's got that new pedal in it. It's also got the Sans amp in there, and it's got a delay in there as well.
Is it a Sans amp GT2?
Guitar
one, yeah?
Yeah, exactly, a guitar one, yeah. I couldn't believe it. And like I said, didn't get to hear it, but the guy talked us through it, and we have to get those in.
Yeah, well, I think, they've always been a company that have obviously been steady and always built really good products because, the Sans amp.
Yeah, I mean, Tech 21 are great.
But they do a whole range of stuff. I think people don't know about really. People know about the Sans amp and they know about like the GT2, but they do all those modelling pedals.
They're all really cool. I really like those.
And that new, I forget what it's called. I think it's just like called the Plexi Drive or something. That is the latest version of that. Essentially, it's like taking that classic sound and put it in a pedal.
Yeah.
And the Flyrig looks like it could just slot into any rig. Like it's probably not even as wide as like one rung on a pedal board.
Really? Because from the photo it looked like the size in terms of depth as a normal Sans amp, but just like if you'd put 4 in a line.
No,
yeah,
not at all.
I didn't get that perspective either. I thought it was quite. When I saw the picture, I thought, okay, I don't really understand why you're getting so excited. That looks really big and kind of cumbersome.
No. Imagine a Sans amp on its side, like the sort of. So if it was like wider than it is tall, it's not even as deep as that.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's so small.
Did he?
It's kind of. It's probably only about 30 centimetres across as well.
Yeah.
It's super small. That's probably the reason they call it the Flyrig.
Yeah.
Is because you could fly with it. You could put it in your gig bag and you've got 3 pedals.
Yeah.
Bonkers little thing.
I suppose I think the company that probably had some of the best ones, apart from Electro-Harmonix, but all the Electro-Harmonix stuff had been announced.
Yeah.
Which I think we'd mentioned briefly before, but the Soul Food, which is their Klon copy. I was talking to someone yesterday who was saying that their friend's got an original Klon and he's AB'd it and they're almost identical.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of videos doing the same thing and like the Soul Food just comes off so well. And how much are they? Are they 50 quid?
They're 49 quid.
Yeah, 49 quid.
Unbelievable.
And the Klon, basically a little bit of history into the Klon if you don't know what it is. It was a pedal that was built in about 94 and at the time it was probably one of the most expensive pedals on the current market. It's $329. The guy reckons they built over 5,000 between 94 and 2002.
Okay.
I think something like that. But now they now go for over $1,000, like second hand. But
crazy.
The circuit boards are covered in a black glue. So you can't see what the circuit's made of. So everyone's always going,
that's
what
ridiculous.
is it? Because you can't reverse engineer it by opening up the back and taking.
That's genius.
It's the same as Dumble amps. The guy Dumble, every amp he built was almost slightly different in one way, and he just glued the entire. Because he was like, look, I build them so well, they're never going to break, so I'll just glue the circuits. and I think. Everyone's always gone, I want a Klon, but I'm never going to afford one. And I think Electro-Harmonix have gone,
let's do one. I mean, there's plenty of clones out there, isn't there? But this Electro-Harmonix one, for the money, I can't believe how good it is.
Yeah. I We haven't even had one yet. I think we had some come in and they were sold straight away.
I think we've had like 20 delivered and they've gone out already.
So I think I'm going to have to get one.
Yeah, just get one. 49 quid.
I mean, but that's the thing. Like Nano Big Muffs, they're what, 49 quid?
Yeah.
And they sound just as good as the big ones.
Definitely. I've not even tried one of those yet. Again, getting our hands on all the stuff.
Because the thing is, the little
impossible.
Big Muff was a different circuit, but the Big Muff Nanos are just the Big Muffs in a smaller box.
Yeah, definitely. Now, the other company that actually I was really impressed with in terms of like pedal stuff was Dunlop and MXR. Two new. I mean, they've got quite a lot of new products. Some of it's not coming into the UK, and some of it they'd already talked about and announced already.
Yeah.
The two new ones that really stood out. Echoplex preamp.
Yeah, amazing.
And the new Univibe.
Yeah.
So Echoplex preamp. Again, you probably know more about this than I.
Yeah, I mean, basically Echoplex being the most sought after tape delay ever, really. Yeah. But a lot of people used it because it runs through a preamp first before you run it into your amplifier. And that preamp kind of altered your tone, and so many people have used it without actually turning the delay on. You could turn the delay machine off and just use the preamp in it, and you could use it like on a Space Echo pedal. You've got the input, so it's like that. So you're never having any delay on, but you're running through the input. Yeah. And I'd imagine Dunlop have gone, hold on, like there's a lot of companies out there building Echoplex style preamp pedals.
Who owns Echoplex now?
I don't know who owns the actual company. I think Dunlop actually own Echoplex.
Okay.
I think Dunlop own it because that's why they can call it the Echoplex preamp. But obviously they haven't made an Echoplex for a long time. I think they just own the brand name.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like I suppose the easy way to describe it, it's like a microamp, but the actual way it boosts your signal is totally different.
For me, it sounded 100 times better than a microamp.
Yeah, it does the same job, but I think it changes the tone.
It doesn't have anywhere near as much volume boost as a microamp. They say it's 11 dB of gain, but it's not audible volume jump at all. What it is, and the way the guy described it, is it changes the feel of the sound. It adds a tiny bit more gain, or it adds audibly a tiny bit more gain. It kind of, it just kind of makes it fry a little bit. What it does, it just adds loads of richness. Pretty much under about halfway, I would say it doesn't really do very much. From halfway round to all the way round, it sounded incredible, and it's one of those pedals where you put it on, play for ages, turn it off, and go, yeah, I'm just never going to turn it off again.
I think that's the thing. I think I would buy one. First thing you plug into, and then just never turn it off.
Yeah, it was very impressive, and a pedal that I didn't expect to be impressed by. NAMM's been all about that for me. I had quite low expectations for a lot of the stuff, and it's all been really, really good. The other one that they're doing is the Univibe, which I think is essentially the rebadged.
I think, as far as I'm aware, it's the rebadged. I think they did the 70th anniversary Hendrix pedals, and the Univibe sold instantly. And then, because I tried to get one, I spoke to the rep from the distributor and was like, I really want one of these Univibes, but at the same time I was like, I like Jimi Hendrix, but I sort of really wish it didn't have Jimi Hendrix's face on it. And he went, you know, who knows, maybe they'll build one. I don't think he actually probably knew at the time, realistically, but yeah, I think that's what they've done, because we've got a Univibe foot controller still knocking around upstairs, I think, but they haven't built a Univibe unit for, I think we may have sold one of the last ones when I started working here like 6 years ago, so they haven't really built anything for a long time. And an original Univibe will set you back like $2,000. Yeah. So I think to do one in a little box, which is probably going to be less than 150 quid.
Yeah.
I'd imagine
go and buy like
MXR's
sort of general price point it will. Yeah.
And I just think it'd be wicked. Yeah. Because there's not many other Univibe effects out there, so it's not. You know, they've got a chorus mode on, but it's somewhere in between a chorus and a phaser, really.
And it's almost got that rotary kind of like Leslie type sound to it.
But actually, one thing, I don't know if you would have seen it there or not, but the Phase 99 they did. I don't know if they're going to come into the UK.
They are not, which is why I hadn't mentioned them.
Right, because I know I had seen people talking about them, and when I spoke to the rep before, because I think they announced them way before NAMM. Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, they're a custom shop thing." And
it's USA only on those.
That's poor form.
Mark hadn't mentioned because he didn't want to break your heart in the way
Sorry,
that
man.
you've just broken your own heart.
Could I put two-phase 90s? 9 plus 9 isn't 99.
I don't know where we're going with that.
I don't know. You can't put two together and that sounds the same. Oh well.
I think we've covered about everything, pretty much everything I saw. I mean, there will be some stuff that we've missed. You can catch up with that on the YouTube channel.
I mean, there must have been too much to.
There's too much to take in. Just a quick word about the whole NAMM experience. It's massive. Like, there's so.
How big is the arena?
So it's 4 floors, and there's 6 halls. There's like 5 or 6 halls. The whole Yamaha booth is in a completely separate building where they rent the entire ballroom of a conference centre, essentially, like a separate building to the main conference centre. Just bizarre, really. Hall E downstairs is like the basement where there's quite a lot of weird stuff. I don't think it's that expensive to rent a booth down there. Someone was there who I couldn't even tell what they were selling, but they had 2 giant flying Vs, and that actually worked and had piano strings on them. Just like loads of weird stuff like that, and like lighting and just bonkers. But yeah, the whole thing is mental. I recommend everyone go at least once. Like, go and check it out. Wear some decent walking shoes, because my feet will never ever be the same again. And take some earplugs. And if you value your ears, perhaps don't go into the drum area, because...
Was the drum area on a separate floor? Or?
The drum area was, I think it was Hall D, and it's not just strictly drums, but it seemed that pretty much all the drum manufacturers were in there.
Yeah.
I've never heard anything like it. It's so loud.
Yeah, I can imagine it's...
And people trying to jam with each other on drum kits, just like someone starts up a beat and then like 2 other drummers like get into the same beat, and then there's then the 2 drummers next to them hear that beat, and then they're like, oh yeah, I'll crack on with that. So it doesn't just
end up like that video of all the metronomes that end up in sync. No, everyone's just going.
Oh, that video is unbelievable.
but they're sort of all a bit out of time. It's just crazy. Did I miss anything while I was away? Did any gear come in that you guys played in the last week or so that you've been really impressed by?
We haven't already sort of talked about, really. We had the vaporizers come in. I think they might have come in just before you went away.
Fender vaporizer. I recommend everyone try one, or even just have a look at one, because they look amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so nothing else I've missed.
I don't think so. I mean, it is a quiet time.
Waiting for this stuff to land. Most NAMM stuff, we should mention, doesn't arrive until sort of February at the earliest. I think the first thing we're expecting is Amplify. The Line 6 stuff, mid-February they should be here, and it'd be amazing to get our hands on one and give it a go.
Yeah, I think it's funny, really, because so much stuff comes out, and I think you've probably seen a lot of stuff. Well, like you say with Ibanez, you've probably seen some stuff that you might never see again, or it might crop up again in like 3 or 4 years' time. I saw a video actually just quickly on pedals from the T-Rex stand, and they had something similar to the Flyrig 5, and the guy who was doing someone just doing an interview with him, and they were like, oh, so cool, when are these shipping? And they were like, oh, just nowhere near ready.
Yeah.
Next year maybe.
Yeah.
And it was like 5 of the best T-Rex pedals all in one box,
right? That
you can then save presets to, and switch the orders off. And I was like, oh, that sounds amazing. And and then right at the end of the interview, the guy goes, oh, so when are these going to be available? And I don't know, maybe next year.
Well, hopefully.
So there's a lot of stuff that, I think there's a lot of stuff they kind of just like to, I suppose in a way it's kind of like a showboating thing with some companies, and it's like, well, we've got this technology.
Oh yeah, it is, 100%. It's about getting people to your stand and talking about your brand, and just showing off stuff, even if you're not ever going to be able to market it. So it's a weird experience, and I do recommend everyone goes. You should come next time, boys.
I will definitely be there.
See what we can do. Should we call it an evening?
I think so.
Yes.
We'll be back next week with some more new talk. Finally, Branton will be back, and we can talk about the bass stuff maybe from NAMM, if we can be bothered. I don't know.
I don't know. We all got texts at the same time from Joe. Did you notice that? You got a text halfway through, and I looked at my phone, and it's a text that he sent me a text of a picture of a pedal.
I think it's his new custom built pedal that's got
is that what it is?
Stupid picture on the front.
Which is annoying because his turned up before mine, but mine should turn up soon. But mine's got the the lodge from Twin Peaks.
Amazing.
Very I was like, if I was going to do something,
into it.
Peaks related. All right, well, let's wrap things up. Jay, if people want to talk to you, how can they find you?
You can send me an email at j.cross@geak.co.uk or get in touch on Twitter. My handle is JAYBM1. Myself and Rebecca Dirks have been championing hashtag Cats on Amps, which is also morphed into hashtag Dogs on Amps.
Okay.
But yeah, big into cats on Amps at the moment. That it's like I wake up every day and I've got quite a few.
Have you actually?
Yeah. Quite a few mentions of people just going, check out my cat on my amp. I'm like, that's excellent, into it. Thanks. Cheers.
Taking Twitter by storm.
So yeah, just let me see. I want to see your cat on your amp. Yeah, that's what I want. I don't want anything else. I want cats on amps.
Matt Knight, where can people find you?
Well, you can email me directly at the shop, matt.knight@gak.co.uk, or you can tweet me Matt_Knightsy, that's Knight with SIE on the end. And I'm just favouriting pictures of cats on amps. Apparently, it's the thing.
Everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to get in touch with the shop directly, best way I would say at the moment is on Twitter at GAK_co_UK or via email podcast@gak.co.uk. I'm going to start setting a question that I want people to email or tweet the answer to every week. I think this week we should say, what was your favourite piece of gear from NAMM? What surprised you? What do you want to get your hands on and try? Do email in and we'll read out some of the best ones next week. Email or tweet, either of those is good. If you want to get in touch with me directly, I don't have a cat on an amp, so I can't get involved in that, but at Mark_random. Thanks very much, gents.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Thanks.
You. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
I don't know what's plugged in where. Oh, you're in there. Right, talk, Jay.
1, 2.
Hello.
No, Jay.
Yeah. Hello. Stop eating all of my crisps, please.